Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another video. It's going to be an actual custom duel that's going on right now as I play the video. This time I'm going to be playing my Animeta custom archetype. I want to, although I've showcased this before, there's been I already done a duel with this archetype before, but I want to show the updates because I think I did an error from one of my card texts and some of it was not clear because there was some misled information that I forgot to include, so you could be able to enjoy the duel and understand the cards. And again, it shouldn't be a boring duel. Like the game does kind of get a little confusing with this one because of when I tend to argue with my opponent and I try to like ask and wonder what's going on because I want to be sure I'm not being misled here. And I draw Uzumaki and then another Deku, and hopefully I'll be able to Pendulum Summon, which I obviously have the requirements to actually do that. My opponent lets me activate my Sekai without any response. So I'm going to Pendulum Summon monsters that between 8 and 4. And then first, before I do that, I retrieve Boken. So I can only Pendulum Summon 2 monsters. Although this should be in the extra monster zone. It won't matter either way because there was only one of my extra deck face up. And then that will trigger Sekai's effect, allowing me to special summon from my main deck to the field as long as the Animeta monster with a different name. Let me just fast forward actually. I go for Lelouch. So the mistake in text was that I forgot to include Lelouch as a tuner because in my last video it did not reveal that he was a tuner monster. It went unrevealed. So I made sure to include that so people don't get confused because a tuner monster is what's used specifically to go into synchro monsters when you synchro summon. So I'm trying to wonder what I'm going to do here. I have a lot of options. I haven't summoned it from Hashtag, so I'm going to go into a level 12 synchro monster. So he will reappear. And I'll be able to summon Animeta Zangetsu. So what I mean like reappear. So even if he does leave the field, if he goes back to my extra phase, since he's a pendulum monster, I can manage to pendulum summon him as well. Or I can special him from the extra deck as long as I have the appropriate cards to get him out. And it's my opponent's turn. Let me just fast forward here. So as you can tell, he's playing a Mercy Archetype, which is kind of he adds a card, but then I gain 500. So I think the purpose behind is that the more life points I have, the less life points he has. He's at an advantage, and he can try to come up with a way to deal more damage later and then finish me off quicker. He summons Fae of Mercy. That's his normal summon right now. And I assume he either tributes it or with a card effect, especially his stronger monster. But I'm a little confused. I'm still trying to wonder how he managed to summon such a high power monster like this guy. Okay, so it says, yeah, you contribute one Fae of Mercy you control. Can't go in defense. It can't be in defense position, which is really weird. I'm guessing because considering how large his attack is, he wants to avoid it being able to like have the opponent stop its attacks, or have permanent card effects where he remains defense where he right now he's at advantage. And it's crazy, pretty much the last effect says that like he's unaffected by the effects of monster effects that try to negate it. And although it does have a lingering effect where during my turn his attack does become 0. So he attacks Uzumaki, but I'll tribute with Kumo. Pause here, plays Pot during his second main phase, plays Pot of Prosperity. So I'm figuring which cards he's gonna add. Mystic Mine, I assume he's gonna add that. Even though I already played the duel, I kind of forgot. Sorry, guys. But let's see what he adds. Oh, it's one-sided Mercy. Even though he could have had a huge advantage with the Mystic Mine, because I can pretty much summon multiple monsters while he still has one on the field. Okay, crazy enough. He gains 1,000, but then your opponent gains 500. If he banishes, what the heck? Okay, I can't see where he's coming. I kind of see where he's coming along with these card effects. He doesn't want me to gain too many life points, but I think the more life points, like I probably already mentioned this, but the more life points I have, he'll try to make up some type of opportunity for the more life points I have, he gains some type of like boost. You'll kind of benefit off it, like if I have more life points then, because maybe that will subtract even more points from me. If there are monsters that can gain certain amount of attack based on the difference. If my life points are higher and his life points are lower, he pretty much can be able to get a monster that could like benefit by gaining even more attack because it's to balance out the card on top of making it really overpowered. Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like in order to, if you want to win this game, you gotta give up life points, or you gotta be able to exchange points. So when you exchange points, it's the only way in order for you to make it try to trick your opponent, try to not conceive the duel, but convince them that there is a cost to playing this game in order to win, but that you must give up life points. You must give them points for them to have it be at some advantage. And then, although you may be at disadvantage, you are also benefiting on top of it by trying to get more points and deal as much damage towards the opponent. And then I'll be able to use Dex effect. It's permanent. So I'll retrieve Kumo like I do with Boken from the grave to the hand. And this is where this set card can be very, like, it's a skill drain. This can change a lot of things. So I try to be smart. I normal summon the Luch. So I penned him some mainly because I could kind of misplay here, but I get him to respond with skill drain. He pays 1,000. He's at 9,000. Let us fast forward. But it's crazy because I don't know. I was thinking his monster would be at 8,100 because if skill drain pretty much negates the effects of all monsters on the field, I was thinking he was being smart because he has an 8,100 attack monster. Because having 8,100 attack, even though although its effects may be negated, but that can pretty much take care of all my monsters, and then they can't be able to activate the effects because while skill drains face up the field, neither player can activate monster effects while they're face up on the field. And this is where I misread. He was right in this case. Like I have to admit, I kind of got carried away here. I assumed if I destroyed one of my Penimouse, I could negate one of his card effects and destroy it, but it only applies to monsters. But I'm not going to change the card text because the whole purpose is to balance out the card. I don't want to make it too overpowered as it already is. Let me fast forward here, just argue a bit back and forth. I could have went off. I could have had most of my monsters attack, but I want to play it safe. Again, this is so that he has something up his sleeve, even if he has only one trap card on the field and it's already been activated. For anything, it could be something that I'm thinking about what's in his hand. Because that could change the game. That could turn the tides for him. Because if that card happens to be a card that can just help his monster gain more attack or prevent me from like killing him, then that's where I have to play some more. Because Yu-Gi-Oh is a game that's enhanced by a lot, especially in the long run. Like, because not only are there cards that can activate on the field, you have cards that can activate in their hand during either player's turn. So that's where you got to be aware. Because although this may seem like a duel where all that matters, you got to think about the cards that are in front of you that they have on the field, but you got to be smart because anything could happen. Especially if he still has a card remaining in his hand, that could change the duel. It could determine like the game for him. It could literally prevent me from killing him, or pretty much kill me as well, depending how the card works. And at this point, although I played it too safe, I was still able to become the victor at this point. I done good game, and then I did although admit I did overthink the situation. I might have overthink the situation, but I realized like I want to play it smart regardless because I figured, consider I already have enough monsters to kill him because he only had a 0 attack monster, and it's like either way that's game for him, and I win, so I appreciate it. He was willing to admit defeat. And one thing you may have to look up is Yu-Gi-Oh, where there are cards that can pretty much activate in the hand that can trigger the effects. Whether it doesn't matter whether it's the most popular card, doesn't matter. You still have to like kind of focus as to what's going on. Even if it's simply cards on the field, there's also cards that, like I said, that can be a really annoying effect, a really unheard card effect, because this is a custom duel. Like I said, again, a card like that could pretty much change the duel, and we already left the duel, like I said, because people don't realize hand traps have always been a thing, and then people have no counters to it. So it's like in this game, it's like pretty much have to play hand traps, but you need to find ways to counter hand traps. That goes for the opponent, that goes for the player. Because like hand traps determine like how the game goes for either player. They can prevent you from going for help, or prevent you from going first. They might not literally prevent you from going first, but they can stop you on your first turn if it's your turn at the beginning of the duel, and it solidifies the game state as well because they have to activate it in response after you use one of the card effects, and then it can be treated as if they counter with their hand trap from the hand, and they decide to chain with it. That means that card, their card activates first, and that pretty much stops the card from its tracks and being able to use its effect. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this duel. I'll be sure to make more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.